Part 34. Being a Bug in a Survival Game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 335. And Sutingyu was wondering about one point, there is only the last progress left. Who else is missing? The host, Wenruo-John Chin-chi said, he caused the fire, but it doesn't mean that he was also burned to death. Ah! He wasn't burned to death, Sutingyu scratched his head. The original number of figures in the painting totaled 16, all of whom were murderers or accomplices. If Wenruo-jun is added to the figure, the number would be one less, Gucci said. Sutingyu was confused. Ah! When did Gucci count the number of people in the painting? Why didn't she know? Sutingyu curled his lips, then how did Wenruo-jun die? He couldn't have set fire to kill all the murderers and then committed suicide, right? Yes, suddenly, a clear and unfamiliar male voice sounded in the room. F***ck, Sutingyu was immediately frightened and uttered a beautiful national curse. The three of them turned their heads almost at the same time and looked around cautiously, but none of them saw a single figure or ghost. The Kingyu male voice continued, "You don't have to look for me. You can't find me. I have already integrated with this apartment." Sutingyu rolled his eyes and asked tentatively, "Are you Wenruo-jun?" Kingyu male voice, "Yes." "I'll go." Sutingyu's eyes widened, "What's the big deal? You created a fire, burned the murderers to death, then committed suicide yourself, and now it's become an angel apartment." "Yes." As Wenruo-jun's last voice fell, the panel popped up again. "Congratulations to players Angel Su, Chin-chi and he for successfully finding out the cause of death of the original resident of room 505. The puzzle progress is 8/8. Congratulations to players Angel Su, Chin-chi and he for completing the exclusive hidden mission, Yu Xiao's cry for help. After the instance is completed, you will receive a reward of 200 game coins. The panel showed that the cause of Wenruo-jun's death had been found out. This was not surprising. After all, it was said by himself. It was strange that it was not shown. But why did Yu Xiao's exclusive mission pop up at this time? Does it still show completed? Sutingyu turned to look at the two of them, her eyes indicating, is Yu Xiao's request for help for him? Or are you asking for Wenruo-jun? Gucci glanced around the room and said in a cold tone, in the angel apartment, only Yu Xiao realized that Wenruo-han had replaced your identity, right? Oh, yes, this child. Kingyu's male voice was not as calm as the previous times. There was a little guilt in his voice. The three of them now understood why Yu Xiao's exclusive mission was not completed until Wenruo-jun spoke up. Previously, I learned from the disabled young man that the real landlord, Wenruo-jun, was very kind to Yu Xiao. He was the only one who was tolerant of him and invited him into the house as a guest regardless of past grudges. Therefore, after Yu Xiao discovered a series of plans behind Wenruo-han, he kept thinking about stopping it or alerting others. Since you are integrated with Angel Apartment, why didn't you come out to stop Wenruo-han before? And you allowed the murderers to live in the original residence rooms during the day, Sutingyu couldn't understand this. If it weren't for the panel, she wouldn't have been able to believe that this inexplicable voice was Wenruo-jun himself. Wenruo-jun said slowly, that painting has been hanging on the wall of the bedroom before, restricting my consciousness and behavior. The figures in the painting are actually the origins of those murderers. What you killed was just the clone. If the paintings are not destroyed, they will be restored soon. Being a Bug in a Survival Game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 336. Later, Wenruo-jun told the three people about his entanglement with Wenruo-han. Wenruo-jun and Wenruo-han are identical twin brothers born from the same mother. The two elders of the Wen family hoped that the two brothers could live in harmony and support each other. When making their wills, the two elders left the land of this apartment to Wenruo-jun. Later, Wenruo-han found out somewhere that there was a gold mine under the land of Angel Apartment, and he thought that the two elders were partial to Wenruojun, so the brothers turned against each other. Sutingyu suddenly thought of something, and she asked, "We have killed your brother, you won't resent us, right?" Wenruojun's voice was silent for 2 seconds before speaking, "Although my adoptive parents are not rich, they are still considered wealthy. When I just turned 20, they both died in a car accident, and the culprit was Wenruohan, who was also only 20 years old at the time, in order to legally inherit my adoptive parents' property as soon as possible." After listening, Sutingyu fell silent. The biological son killed his biological parents in order to inherit the property as soon as possible? It sounds too unbelievable, but often, the reality is so unreasonable, and the three views are completely shattered. And Wenruojun also meant that it would not resent the three of them because they killed Wenruohan. Anyway, thank you very much, foreign tourists. Wenruojun's voice was still clearer and calmer, but the last 5 words were like a pebble falling into a calm lake in an instant, stirring up a stormy sea. Foreign travelers. The three of them looked at each other and felt a strange feeling in their hearts. Although the players' dungeon identities were all new residents, they still felt that there was something in these words. "To express my gratitude, if there is anything I can do, I will be happy to help you." The Kingyu voice, claiming to be Wenruojun, came out unhurriedly, with a humble and polite attitude. Hearing this, Sutingyu blinked her big eyes. Ah, she really had such a small thing. According to the current situation, it seems that we need to talk to Wenruojun first. Congratulations to all players for successfully completing Angel Apartment. This instance will be closed on time within the specified time, and all players can leave the instance freely. Finally we can leave. Great. I've completed the level. As soon as they saw the information on the panel, some of the surviving players were overjoyed, some were relieved, and they immediately chose to leave this round of dungeons. "Susu, thank you for this round of dungeons. I'm leaving first." Chan Yu came over to say hello to Sutingyu, smiling broadly. "Okay, don't forget the rewards." Sutingyu blinked her big eyes and sounded innocent. Shan Yu smiled and nodded, "Okay." Sutingyu watched Shan Yu click on her panel, and then her figure disappeared. Sutingyu turned around and glanced, and found that the fat man's expression seemed not right, as if he had been frightened. He couldn't help but ask curiously, "Fat man, what's wrong with you? Could it be that you are weak?" "No. It's okay, it's just that the impact was a bit big." The fat man took a deep breath, and his expression slowly softened. "Boss, let's leave too." Hearing this, Sutingyu rubbed his little hands. "I'll leave later. I want to find a friend for Da Hui first." Monument friend." The fat man was a little confused. "You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment." Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 337. At Sutingyu's request, Wenruojun had already informed all the existing residents of the apartment to gather on the first floor. The residents were surprised that the building owner had merged into the entire apartment, but they quickly accepted this knowledge and came to the meeting point. Sutingyu counted the number of people enthusiastically and found something was wrong. "No, why are there only 7? Fatty sent the answer in time. Boss, Mia and Shan Yu left." Is that what she thought? Since one of them left, forget it. Sutingyu began to wonder, who should the precious room be given to? Among these residents, 2 were relatively unfamiliar to Sutingyu. The first one is the weak girl in room 303, who was betrayed by her boyfriend and best friend, and even broke into their large-scale erotic play in her own room. After being exposed, the scumbag was afraid of losing his reputation and losing his job, and Green Tea was afraid of being involved in a scandal, so they just did nothing and joined forces to kill the young lady and brutally cut her body into pieces. The second one is a streetwise male writer in room 406. By chance, he met the wealthy young lady who had run away from home, and fell in love at first sight. The daughter-in-law was at odds with her family, her card was suspended, she had no money and no place to live, so she pretended to have some affection for the street boy, but the latter mistakenly thought she liked him. When the street boy planned to confess his love and propose marriage, the daughter-in-law refused, but she did not refuse completely. She bluntly said that she wanted to marry a promising young man with a car and a house, not a street boy who could only make ends meet by working hard every month. Writer. As a result, the street boy believed her lies and started coding day and night to make money. One day, he died suddenly at 2 or 3 in the middle of the night. The person was gone, but the rich lady didn't shed a single tear. After disposing of the street man's body, she still lived in his house and spent his money. Sutinyu slightly refined the words he had used to deceive the disabled young man before, and boasted passionately to these residents. Among them, a few were moved, and 1 or 2 were hesitant. Seeing this, Sutinyu felt heartbroken. Why can't they all be packed? But there is not enough room inside the stone monument. Ouch, why can't we also pack up the angel apartment? Ah, yes. Sutinyu's sudden pupils shone brightly. Pack up the apartment. Ahem, wait a minute, Sutinyu said to the residents at the scene, and immediately took out the stone tablet, then enlarged it and dropped it on the floor of the apartment. On the side, Chin-Chi and the others were also watching, a little curious about what Sutinyu would do next. My dear, anyway, the main material is made of stone, you can do it. Swallow it. Swallow it, Sutinyu muttered in a low voice, one hand fell on the stone tablet, and the other fell on the apartment floor. Superior. Fusion. Warn. Player number 444,444 Angel Su, please stop your unrealistic fantasies. Database analysis is messed up. As expected, the panel popped up, and I was still furious and familiar. Sutinyu didn't care on his face, but instead smiled. How bold a person is, how outrageous his dreams are. They are just broken stones. They will definitely melt. Warn. Warn. Warning, please note. The player Angel Su was detected to trigger one of the mysterious mechanisms of this copy. Please ask the player Angel Su to confirm whether to fuse the evil stone steel and angel apartment, the fusion result is unknown. Sure. Warn. Fusion error, fusion error, fusion. The fusion was successful. The moment the stone tablet and angel apartment were successfully integrated, the former had already penetrated into angel apartment. Sutinyu didn't have any surprise on his face that he had done something big, and he smiled sweetly at the bewildered residents. Okay, now, you don't have to worry about it anymore. Let's continue to be neighbors together. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 338. The main mission is completed, the copy has been cleared, and the rewards are being settled. Get experience points 300, game coins 500, lucky draw opportunities *2. Props obtained, angel apartment, fused. Autonomous degree of clearance, 92%, experience points gained 184, game coins 92, lucky draw opportunity *1. Contribution for clearance, 80%, experience gained 160, game currency 80, lucky draw opportunity *1. Dungeon exploration degree, 90%, experience gained 450, game currency 180, lucky draw opportunity *1. Unlock exclusive hidden tasks, 3, complete exclusive hidden tasks, 3, and obtain game currency 600. Unlock the hidden worldview, 1, crack the hidden worldview, 1, gain experience points 4444, game coins 4444, destiny code fragments *1. Settlement completed. Sutinyu returned to the purple alien space and took a look at the settlement rewards. If the rewards for cracking the worldview were not included, it was obvious that the rewards were less than those in the first 3 rounds of dungeons. However, the experience points required to upgrade to LV6 are too much, and with the experience points obtained in this round of copies, plus the existing experience points before, Sutinyu's level is still at LV5. Sutinyu's biggest gain this time was the angel apartment itself and the bunch of undead residents inside. Sutinyu didn't feel too bad. Still barely acceptable. When Sutinyu was about to leave the settlement space, she saw a red dot for new messages in the friends system, so she clicked on it. It was a message from Chibubi. Judging by the time, she sent it after entering the dungeon. Miss Su, some of the upgrade materials you need have been gathered. I will send it to you, please pay attention to receive it. In addition, there is also a sum of game currency, which is obtained from the transaction of entrusted game items so far. Sutinyu clicked in and took a look. 20.2 W game currency. His. Sutinyu looked at the transaction records sent by Chibubi. This game currency and upgrade materials were traded for 80 rare grade and 120 diamond grade game items. And when she saw the materials sent by Chibubi, her eyes suddenly lit up. Mutation and upgrading are different concepts, but the end result can be regarded as different approaches to the same goal. In order to avoid trouble, Sutinyu also deliberately said that the mutation materials needed for the sickle were upgrade materials. And what Chibubi sent over happened to be all the remaining materials needed for the sickle to mutate. Sutinyu confirmed it again, it was correct. Everything is ready. Ouch. My scythe is really going to be strong now? Sutinyu's expression instantly became extremely excited. Then let's mutate now. Sutinyu geared up, clicked into the sickle's mutation interface, and then put all the mutation materials into it. The mutation materials of sickle: maintenance iron essential oil 20, abyss meteor iron 20, yellow spring water 15, mandala essence 10, netherworld hellfire residual fire *5, please ask if you want to mutate. The mutation process is the same as a normal upgrade. After confirming that it is correct, Sutinyu clicks yes. In the mutation interface, all materials began to merge into the sickle. The process of mutation was relatively slow, and the sickle continued to emit brilliant light like a 7-color rainbow. In the 7-color light, Sutinyu also vaguely saw that the shape of the sickle gradually changed. Below the mutation interface, there is a progress bar, and the mutation progress displayed at this time has only reached 10%. Sutinyu also didn't expect that mutation would take more time. The mutation has already begun. Once it is forcibly stopped, all mutated materials will become waste. There was no other way. Sutinyu had no choice but to reduce the mutation interface to a window, first sent a message to Chin-Chi and Fatty, and then went to browse the forum. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 339. As soon as Sutinyu switched to the main interface, a game announcement was urgently inserted on the big poster in the middle. Attention all beta testers. The Angel Apartment copy was irreversibly destroyed by unknown factors, and the unique copy scene was lost. The copy will be permanently closed and will no longer be open to players. Sutinyu blinked his big eyes. Well, it just collapsed the copy. Is this normal? Anyway, it's none of Sutinyu's business. Sutinyu went to visit the forum, and the popularity of the last event dungeon gradually subsided. Although there are still players discussing the top 10 on the Children's Day hunting list, there are far fewer than before. What's more, they began to discuss the copy of the Dragon Boat Festival event on June 14th. Sutinyu looked at it casually for a while and found no useful information, so he came back. By the way, cracking the worldview seems to have given me something. Sutinyu pulled down the game items in the inventory and found an extra fate code fragment. He had just been focusing on calculating the experience points, but he had missed it. Sutinyu poked the thing, and a prompt popped up. The function of the destiny code fragments is unknown, players are asked to actively explore. Gen. Sutinyu discovered that there was a lot of nonsense in this game. If this little fairy knew what this thing was, would she still need to poke it? This thing is classified among others, isn't it a prop? Not a material. Sutinyu wrinkled her face and muttered, forget it, as long as it's not a bomb, it's okay to put it in the corner, I'll ask after I get out. Kikai, let's see if he recognizes him. Sutinyu looked at the progress of the mutation in the small window and found that it had reached 95%, so he switched back to the mutation interface. The next second after the progress bar was full, the entire interface emitted colorful light, completely covering the sickle in the middle. Sutinyu raised her hands to cover her eyes, leaving only a little between her fingers exposed. When the colorful light gradually dissipated, another dark light filled the mutation interface, and at this time, the successfully mutated sickle slowly appeared in front of Sutinyu. The sickle, ah no, it should be the death blade. The mutated death blade is exactly 2.2 meters long from the top of the scimitar to the square pyramid at the end of the handle. The whole body is glowing with a dark blood-colored mysterious luster. The blade is so sharp that it hides the chilling murderous intention of the abyss. Props, death blade, can be bound. Grade, blue mystery. Function, the other side of the road to hell opens, and death comes at night. This is a death blade from the abyss of hell. It can harvest souls, summon the undead and control the undead. It can be immune to soul and mental attacks, and can use various abilities during the day. Weakened by 30%, can be contracted. Durability, 100%. Remarks, don't make trouble, the god of death is coming, be careful to chop you. Why is there only the blue mysterious grade? Sutinyu frowned. Although the blue mysterious grade is also very nice, it is obviously far inferior to the golden legend. I know about the binding, but what is this contract? Sutinyu poked incuriously. This prop can be contracted with a spirit with specific attributes to enhance the various attributes of the prop, and there is a certain probability that it can be upgraded. Qiling. What is this? Sutinyu became more and more confused as he looked at it. She went to the forum and searched for the keyword Qiling, but found nothing. Sutinyu thought about it. It seems that ordinary players of this Qingling have not come into contact with each other. Otherwise, no information will be revealed at all. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 340. In the function introduction of the Death Blade, Sutinyu further clicked on Contact Spirit to query its information. Spirit is a spirit body that is condensed and transformed by all creatures through their own practice or external help, with different abilities. A contract spirit can designate a spirit body to make a contract and become the companion spirit body of the game props, achieving the goal of increasing the game props' effects of various attributes. Sutinyu was bewildered, but this bonded spirit sounded pretty awesome. All living creatures can do it? Can Big Gray do it? Sutinyu tried some tricks, even the original residents of Angel Apartment were spared, but the result? Nothing. Will not work. Just when Sutinyu was about to exit the settlement space, the panel suddenly refreshed. Please note. The number of players carrying conch from the deep sea has reached the standard to open the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea instance. Dear Angel Su players, hello, you have received an invitation letter from the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea dungeon. It has been triggered. You will go to the dungeon within 2 minutes. Please be prepared. Finally, Parallel Paradise wishes you a happy journey. Sutinyu's eyes widened. Ah. Is this a career dungeon triggered? Holy shit. So sudden. 20,000 miles under the sea? Isn't this a copy of the one in the sea? Sutinyu suddenly thought that he didn't seem to be able to swim, let alone dive. Come on. Sutinyu hurriedly opened them all, directly searched for keywords, and found a lot of game items related to swimming or diving. A few swimming rings, a few diving suits, waterproof beads. Decorative props? Great stuff. Bought. Underwater tent? This, I also need one. Sutinyu hurriedly glanced at the function introduction of the game items. No matter how many game coins they cost, he estimated that they would be useful, so he immediately exchanged them and put them in his inventory. After the exchange was almost complete, Suting looked at the 1-minute countdown with fish eyes and saw that there were only 10 seconds left, so he quickly sent a message to the group chat of the trio. I have a token that triggers a professional copy, now it's time to enter the copy again, just Zhangzi. Just after clicking send, the last 10 seconds of preparation time ended, and the panel in front of Sutingyu refreshed the information. Dear Angel Su players, hello, you have confirmed that you have entered the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea dungeon world, and you are being matched. The matching is completed, and the countdown to enter the dungeon begins. 3, 2, 1. Reality. Goose Manor, in Qin Chi's room. The boss has entered the dungeon again, Fatty read out in surprise when he saw the message in the group chat. Qin Qi, who was sitting on the bed, heard the fat man's words and also checked the new messages in the friends system. Professional dungeon, Qin Qi blinked, as if Big Fish had a few tokens on him. Was this triggered? The fat man looked at the words professional dungeon in the message, scratched his head, and guessed, our token has not been triggered. Did the boss trigger each token separately? Probably. Qin Qi nodded. Brother Qin, is there any danger in the professional dungeon? How many stars is its difficulty level? Fatty asked. Qin Qi frowned and looked down at the red panda in his arms. There must be dangers. Each round of dungeons has, the difficulty of the professional dungeon cannot be determined. It may be 1 star or 13 stars. Ah. That's it, I hope you have better luck and the difficulty of this round of career dungeons won't be too high. The fat man clasped his hands in front of him and prayed. It's okay. The higher the difficulty, the more valuable the career you get, Qin Qi murmured. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 341. At this time, Gucci walked in from the door. He glanced at Qin Qi first, then glanced around and found that Sutingyu was not there. He frowned. Where is Sutingyu? Fatty replied, Boss, one of her tokens was triggered, and she should enter the dungeon now. Gucci's eyes fluctuated for a moment, but he didn't find it too strange. That guy picked up several tokens in the event dungeon, so it wouldn't be surprising if he was suddenly pulled in one day. Since she didn't come out, the kitchen is preparing food. You guys should have something to eat first. Gucci finished his sentence, turned around and left. But the fat man was a little flattered. Okay, boss. Brother Qin, what do you want to eat? I'll get it for you. Gucci returned to the study, where Chibubi was already waiting. Seeing that he was paying attention, Chibubi bowed slightly and said, Master. After Gucci sat down, Chibubi began to report on the recent situation. After the Children's Day dungeon ended, Xiao Xi's forces began to investigate the identities of Sutingyu and the others. At present, Fatty has been investigated for a lot of things because he didn't hide his identity very much. As for Sutingyu and Qin Qi, their identities are relatively secretive. When Qin Qi was found, Gucci immediately asked Chibu Bai when to hide the identities of the two of them. At present, Xiao Si has not found out much yet. Master, you need to pay attention to Fen Nanbei's outings in the near future. Maybe Xiao Si will use Fen Nanbei as a breakthrough, Chibubi said. Since he likes to stare so much, you go arrange some fake identities, make a big fuss, and divert his attention. This is a way. I will arrange it later. Chibubi thought about it and thought it was feasible. The matter about Xiao Si is only the first thing that needs to be reported. Master, there is news from abroad that Li Ji has entered the country. Li Ji, Gucci frowned slightly, he is targeting Sutingyu. Tisk. The child looked very concerned about Sutingyu, and nothing happened to the latter. Once we find out Li Ji's whereabouts, we will reveal it to the Red Department and let the country deal with him. This is China, the land of China, not a foreign country that advocates freedom. No matter how much Gucci wants to kill Li Ji directly to avoid future troubles, he can only restrain himself. Furthermore, he had dealt with the Red Ministry and had some friendship with the government, so he could not openly challenge the authority of the country. It is the best choice to leave it to the country to deal with mercenaries like Li Ji who have entered the country illegally. After all, China is known as a forbidden land for mercenaries, and this statement is not groundless. Have you found anything about Sutingyu's identity? Gucci has not forgotten this. The child and this guy only met through games, but in reality, Sutingyu's identity seems a bit difficult to figure out. Currently, we can only find out that Sutingyu works at Yeu. The specific job position is unknown, her life experience is unknown, and it is also unclear whether she has any relatives or friends. Speaking of this, Chibubi felt a little guilty. A rare setback for him. Gucci pondered for a few seconds and said, "Forget it, there's no need to check. Everyone has secrets, and Gu was too lazy to explore them one by one. He just saw that Sutingyu and Qin had a good relationship, and they met through games, so he paid more attention to them. No matter who Sutingyu is or what his identity is, as long as he doesn't hurt Qin. Master, there is one more thing. You have previously ordered us to find a male nurse who is innocent, young, obedient, silly, and easy to fool. The candidate has been decided." Chibubi held a hand in his hand. Give a portfolio to Gucci. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 342. Gucci opened the file bag and glanced at the information on it, then it's him. Bring him as soon as possible. Okay, Chibubi responded. 10 minutes later. After Chibubi came out of the study, he made a phone call. Bring Xiao Chu over today. Yes. A remote small rural village hundreds of miles away from Kyoto. At the end of the village, in a small courtyard of a brick house. A man in a suit and leather shoes pushed open the courtyard door, turned to look at the young man who was feeding the pigs next to the pig pen, and said loudly, "Xiao Chu, stop working, the boss has agreed for you to go to Kyoto, and you will go today." Really? Then I'll rob him right away. The young man's simple face was full of surprise. He picked up the pig feed, turned around and ran into the house. When the man heard this, he felt slightly ashamed. It sounds like they are members of the underworld. After a while, the young man's honest and loud voice came from the house and out into the courtyard. "Grandpa, I'm going to a big city." "Second aunt, I'm going to work in a big city." "Cousin, I'm going to the big city to enjoy the happiness." As soon as the boy announced the good news, everyone in the family heard it. They were a little confused at first, but after they realized it, they were also happy for him. "Oh, my baby has a future. Are there any rules for going to a big city? I've heard people say that city people have a lot of rules." "Probably not, Grandpa, I'm leaving today." The young man grabbed the bag that had been prepared in the room and tied it to his back. Next to the young man, there was a group of old and young people, talking to each other incessantly. The boy scratched his forehead. At only 17 years old, he was already quite tall. In a year or two, he would probably be 1.8 meters tall. His small body also looked very strong. "What? Are you leaving today? Are you in such a hurry?" The older man's face was slightly startled, and most of his joy faded. However, Before the young man could explain, the old man understood himself and nodded, "That's fine, it's what the big boss ordered, baby, so hurry up and get ready, don't be late." The young man nodded his head heavily, "Yeah. This is a happy event. I told everyone in the village. I'll go too, I'll go too." In less than half an hour, everything in this peaceful rural area exploded. The old village chief stood under an old tree in the village ancestral hall and announced excitedly, "The weather is nice today. Our village is going to have a young man named Wei Chu who is going to the big city." Everyone applauds. Then, there was a roar of applause from the villagers. "Why don't we have a banquet here? I'll give you a piglet as a gift." "Yes, yes, the whole village has a feast." "Hey, little piggy is going to do something important. I heard that the big boss in the big city is urging me. I have to leave today, how can I have time?" "Going today? Is the journey far? How long does it take to get there by riding a bullock cart?" "What about riding on a bullock cart? Our little piggy is going to the sky. Just take a plane, it'll be there in a blink of an eye." The villagers were all discussing it, and finally the old village chief coughed loudly, "Although we can't hold a banquet, the whole village has to go see the little pig off, right?" "Of course. Let's go to the village entrance." At the entrance of the village, a car was parked. The young man was carrying his luggage and holding in both hands the local specialties he had brought from home. "Put your things in there." The man opened the trunk. "Okay, brother." The man looked at what the boy had put on the table. In addition to the local specialties, there was also an old clucking hen. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Being a Bug in a Survival Game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 343. After Wei Chu put his things away, there was only one suitcase left on him. He clapped his hands, turned around and saw the man's strange look in his eyes, and asked in confusion, "Brother, what's wrong?" The man came back to his senses and waved his hand, it's okay, get in the car." "Oh, the worst case scenario, let's just do another pet consignment." "Okay, brother." The young man chuckled and walked to the rear door in a few steps. As soon as he opened it, familiar voices came from the village. "Piggy. Zuwazi, let's see you off." "Oh, luckily I caught up." The young man's eyes froze for a moment. He waved to the villagers and turned to explain to the man, "Brother, the people in the village are warm and I want to say goodbye." "Okay, hurry up," the man said. "Ai." The young man trotted towards the villagers and greeted them one by one. "Uncle Li, Aunt Zhao, Granny Wu, Go Sheng, Xiao Shidu. Zig, when you go to a big city, you have to take care of yourself." "Yeah, I will." "Little pig, this is some fruit from your uncle's house. Take it to eat on the road to quench your thirst. And more, here I am." So, when Wei Chu came back with a lot of things in his hands, the man opened the trunk for him again. Hongdian, the capital of Zhejiang province. In a lounge, Shan Yu, who was wearing an antique red dress, sat on the makeup chair, her eyes widened slightly, staring at the panel in front of her, murmuring to herself, "Parallel paradise, it turns out that it has been started for more than 3 months. But what exactly is this thing? What exactly is parallel paradise?" This is the first doubt that arises in the minds of many new players who have just entered the game. But without exception, no answer was obtained. It took Shan Yu almost half an hour to gradually figure out most of the functions of the panel. Shan Yu first searched for Sutingyu's game nickname and got the latter's homepage information. When he saw Sutingyu's level, Shan Yu's eyes flashed with surprise. LV5? The level is quite high. On the current ranking list, except for some LV6 players, The rest are all LV5 players to be eligible to be on the list. And Shan Yu cleared a 5-star dungeon. Although the start was much more difficult than the previous dungeons for new players, the rewards she received after clearing the level were relatively generous, making her suddenly become LV2, not far away from LV3. Shan Yu sent a friend request to Sutingyu, waited for the latter to agree, and then traded the reward of 650 game coins. After sending the friend application, Shan Yu exited the friend system. Knock, knock. At this time, someone knocked on the closed door of the lounge from outside. Shan Yu turned off the panel. The door is unlocked, come in. The door was opened, and a young-looking curly-haired woman wearing formal clothes came in. Sister Yu, there is a notice from the director that the actors playing the male and female protagonists are temporarily unavailable, so we will start filming your scene in advance. There is still 5 minutes of preparation time. I know. Shan Yu looked at herself in the makeup mirror. After checking that her makeup was okay, she stood up, turned around, and her red clothes were spinning like a gorgeous flower. By the way, the little girl I met in the company cafeteria last time, go check and see if she is Yunfei's real assistant. Shan Yu recalled Sutingyu's various behaviors in the dungeon. They seemed cute, but in reality. Tisk, when we first met, I really made a mistake. Is such an interesting Susu really just an ordinary assistant? Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 344. The curly-haired woman looked slightly startled. Well, what's your name, Su? She was not at the scene at the time, and only learned about it afterwards. But as he was just a little assistant, the curly-haired woman didn't pay much attention to him. Her name is Sutingyu, Shan Yu said. Okay, Sister Yu. The curly-haired woman didn't ask Shan Yu why he wanted to check on an ordinary person, because she knew that Shan Yu didn't need an agent who asked questions and often pointed fingers, so she agreed directly. The two left the lounge together and headed to the filming location. By the way, those scripts from last week were all pushed to me. Apart from this drama, I will not accept new dramas or endorsements. Recently on the way, Shan Yu thought about how he would have to do it every few days in the future. The dungeon only enters once a day. If you stay outside filming, it will easily cause unnecessary trouble. It's all pushed. The curly-haired woman was surprised. Although she has only been with Shan Yu for a year, she also knows that the latter is a money-hungry workaholic. As long as he gets well-paid scripts and endorsements, he will take them all if his schedule does not conflict. Even when he was sick, he still worked. This was the first time that the curly-haired woman heard Shan Yu take the initiative to lighten her workload. Shan Yu asked back, is there any problem? No. No problem, I will push those scripts and endorsements later, the curly-haired woman said quickly. Well, also, the martial arts gym I signed up for has doubled the training time. You can plan your schedule. Okay. Seeing that the curly-haired woman didn't ask any questions, Shan Yu looked back with slight satisfaction. This parallel paradise will not feel peaceful. Shan Yu doesn't trust anyone, and she never trusts any backer. She only trusts herself. I can only believe in myself. 5 p.m. Shan Yu finished his day's work and returned to the hotel he had booked tiredly. After locking the door of the hotel room, closing the windows and drawing the curtains, Shan Yu turned on all the lights in every corner, then took a change of pajamas and bath products and went to the bathroom. Similarly, he locked the bathroom door, took off his clothes, and soaked in the bathtub filled with warm water. Almost half an hour later, Shan Yu walked out in loose pajamas, wiping his hair with a towel and taking out a hair dryer. Just as he was about to dry his hair, Shan Yu's mobile phone left on the bed rang. Shan Yu put down the hair dryer, walked over in a few steps, picked up the phone, glanced at the note on the caller ID, and paused slightly. Then, with a swipe of his finger, he connected the phone. A faint smile appeared on Shan Yu's face. "Godfather, why do you have time to call me?" The slightly playful and doubtful voice made the middle-aged man on the other end laugh. "Haha, by the way, I haven't seen Xiao for a long time." "It's because my godfather was negligent," the middle-aged man laughed. Shan Yu smiled brightly and slightly raised a strand of hair on her chest with her fingers. "Then, is there any compensation? Let's do this. You go home in 3 days. Me, you, and your brother, let's have a good get-together. How about it?" "Okay." Shan Yu's eyes flashed slightly, but his tone remained unchanged. "That's it, don't work too late or too tired." "Okay." After the call ended, Shan Yu threw the phone back on the bed, and the smile on his face instantly disappeared. What trick does this old fox want to play? Just a simple family dinner?